In this video, we're going to cover the quick installation of the IBM Cloud Native Toolkit on a RedHat OpenShift cluster. As you see on my screen, to get started, we want to have a web browser open with the Cloud Native Toolkit guide on one side and a blank terminal open on the right. Now, before we get started, make sure in your terminal you have the OC command installed. So if I put OC here, you can see that's actually the OpenShift client CLI. Next, you want to make sure that you're actually logged in to your OpenShift cluster and that you have all the admin access you need from the planning your installation page and inside the Cloud Native Toolkit guide already done within your cluster. So to go ahead and get started, let's come over to the Cloud Native Toolkit guide, click on Day 0 Prepare, and go to Install with the Toolkit. On this page, you will see the Quick Install, the Private Catalog, and the Iteration 0. In this video, we're purely covering the quick install, and you can see here that there's a command for Linux and Mac, and then you also see that there's instructions for Windows users. I'm using a Mac machine, so I want to go ahead and just use this first line right here. So I want to go ahead and copy that, come over to my terminal that is logged into the OpenShift cluster, go ahead and paste that in, and hit enter, and from here this will kick off the installation process. It goes ahead and creates the proper service account, it creates a pod, a config map, and everything else that the toolkit needs within your cluster. And then from there, the Terraform will take over and begin to do the installation. Now, the installation does take about 5 to 7 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here while this completes. And then when it's done, I'll come back and we'll wrap it up. Now that my installation is done, you can see how long it actually took the toolkit to do the installation. And you can see everything that was applied, how many resources were added, changed, or destroyed. In this case, I know I said about 5 to 7 minutes, but depending on the cluster, it could take longer or shorter. Mine took 14 minutes and 1 second. But now that I see that the cluster has the toolkit now installed, now it'd be like, now we need to verify that installation and see how do we get to the dashboard? How do we see, Artifactory, or how do we see Argo, or any of the different tools that we're using? So I'm going to go ahead and inside of my web browser, I want to go over to my OpenShift clusters dashboard. So you can see here, this is the main console. And now up here, you can see there's one icon with 9 squares on it. We want to go ahead and click on that. And then now you can see it says Cloud Native Toolkit. And you can see all the different tools. You can see the developer dashboard, the GitHub, the image registry, etc. This is pretty much something that's built into the toolkit to where it integrates directly in with the OpenShift console to make it easy for you to access any of the tools that you are using within the toolkit. So I want to go ahead and click on the developer dashboard. That will open up a new tab for me. I'm going to click log in with OpenShift. This will go ahead and do all the identification and log me into the dashboard securely. You might get this authorized access. Go ahead and click allow. This will make sure that all the access is allowed with your IAM. And now you're on the Cloud Native Toolkit developer dashboard. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. But from here, you can now access all the different tools that are there. You can see the starter kits as well. And you can also see your learning pages, right? If you want to learn anything about the Cloud Native concepts, whether it be about the cluster or the containers or anything like that. Now we're ready to go to move on to the next part, which will be deploying your first application.